Hey there, welcome back. This is Tanner Steed. We're out here in Moab. Just kidding, we're in Arches National Park. We're going to paint this beautiful scene over here. And thanks for joining. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know how I did. And or let me know if you've painted here before. This is my first time. Let's go. I am getting to know the landscape. When you approach a subject and you see a beautiful scene, it's very hard to narrow it down as to what the painting is going to be about. Do I want it to be about this huge cliffside on the left? Do I want it about the shadow on the right? Or do I want it about this central focus? There's so much happening. So as I draw, I just start throwing in things that I'm noticing. So initially I noticed that huge rock on the left, so I'm kind of blocking in a general shape representing that. I'm not sure how much of it is going to be in the painting in the end, but I know that it's going to be on the left-hand side. I like this really beautiful blue shape coming down. You may not be able to tell what's happening on the canvas actually as I describe this, but it's not about you yet. It's about me and figuring out what I am planning to do. So what I'm doing right now is I'm blocking in main shadows and ultimately trying to link them as much as I possibly can. The more simple your shapes are, the stronger your painting is going to be. So I'm alternating, making it a bit more red towards the foreground and a little bit cooler towards the background using ivory black and ultramarine blue. And yeah, linking all those shadow shapes so then I can start to feel that strong and develop that strong structure underneath before I start painting any details. I want to make sure it all works first. This goes fairly quickly. Now I'm going to block in a general shape for the sky. It's good to think about things being layered. So I'm starting with the back, then I'm going to work my way to the front, and then I may go back once more. I'm starting thin too, so then I can change later in the painting. Just throw this all up there so I can get the general feel, and I'll adjust the shapes of the clouds as needed, and the intensity of the blue, the saturation of the blue. The important part is that I establish a nice, slightly warm mixture right down here in this crack. But thin, let's see. That's not the exact shape, but when I put the darks next to that, it's going to look really intense if I make it dark enough. Cooler, but dark. It has to remain dark. Getting the color a bit more accurate. And it's so hot out here that the paint, the lower layer is already set up. Just wild. We're what, 20 minutes in? Squinting is essential. So I haven't decided how big I want this shape right here. So if that is the size of our crack over there, I can measure with my my paintbrush and my thumb, and I can compare if I wanted to get this exactly like this rock. I can compare how tall the crack is and how many times that measurement, this measurement right here is what I'm measuring, the crack to the crack to the height of this. So on my painting it's 1.5. I have a feeling that it's going to be way different over there. So let's see. 1, to 2.5. So I have two choices. One, I can increase the size of this, and that'll simplify this shape because the sky will just be over there. Or I can shrink this down, which I think I want to do. I'm going to shrink that down, and then I'll be able to carve up into these rocks up above. Still drawing. I'll be drawing the whole time. You never stop drawing. Just because the landscape is a certain way does not mean that you have to paint it exactly like that. I am planning on moving things around slightly because I'm making a painting. I'm not taking a photo. And that's the beauty of painting, is you don't have to do exactly what's happening in front of you. I always squirt out more paint than I anticipate using. It's always best to have extra paint left over and not be scrambling when light is shifting in the landscape. Very saturated. We'll see if I need to tone it down. When I squint, it looks, way too intense. That's okay. I can add some yellow to it. And I'm going to lighten it up with white, which desaturates and cools off. So I think of white like blue. It's a light blue. And it really isn't blue, but it's cool. So it'll cool things off and increase the value, as in lighten it. Let's test that. Squinting at the landscape. There's some variation in the landscape over there, so I'm gonna just smack that down and then step back, throw that there. Okay, it's almost time to introduce some green. And green is a tricky color. If you put too much yellow into it, it will look garish and really won't fit a landscape, especially when you're painting distance. Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Very good. How are you going?
Excellent.
Can I take a look?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just getting started. Yeah. But if you
Okay.
squint, you can kind of see what I'm doing.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, are you gonna be able to finish like how many days, or like today, or?
Well, our goal is to get just a quick study, and then I may take this back to the studio, work on it there, or I might turn this into a larger painting. We'll see.
Okay.
I
Are
mean,
you
that's
local?
such a
You a
grand-
local artist?
I'm a Denver artist.
Okay.
So we're traveling. And
Oh, great.
We have
Yeah.
a YouTube channel.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
Yeah, we come out here, and that's
So, what's your name?
Tanner Steed.
Tanner Steed. I'll remember. That's a great
Cool.
name.
How about you? Where are you from?
Louisville, Kentucky. But I come out here all the time.
Nice. This is our first
Nice.
time. So
Oh
Yeah.
no, I've been
Yeah.
coming out here for like 10 years or so every year.
Wow.
Once
Yeah.
or twice a year.
Cool.
It's good to have a variety of different shapes. It does make the painting a little bit more interesting just naturally, especially if you don't have a lot of time to manipulate, little edges and stuff when you're out painting outdoors. So I've been using flats. I've got a bristle filbert and synthetic flat. Now I'm getting out a synthetic filbert. So this is generally a little bit softer. Not the softest brush. I still want to be able to pick up a lot of paint, and so this is a pretty good one in between. It's the Ivory Long Flat, and if you have watched other videos, you may have seen this in my top 5 brushes, actually, and you should go check that out because there is a twist at the end if you haven't seen it, and if you have, you know what I mean. Getting out the greens, I do not always start with a Viridian. In fact, it is sometimes an unnecessary paint, but when I squint out there and I'm looking at this, I almost just gave you bad advice. You don't squint to see color. You squint to see values. So open your eyes to see color, but squint to see the value. And when I squint out there, those greens are dark, and Viridian is a dark green. So I started there with the value. Now, there's a lot of reds in those greens, so I'm going to add a little bit, just a touch of, let's see, some burnt umber. So it's a warm, earthy, dark green. So that should be pretty good for one of the greens. There's a sage out there, but I'm just going to test this. Okay, Okay, squinting at that brush stroke. I'm not painting individual plants today. I'm painting brush strokes and getting an effect, an impression. That's what the impressionists were all about. That's why you don't see individual leaves on their paintings. So, when I put these varied brush strokes, from far away it'll appear like greenery, foliage, and yeah, I'd say that's a good color. So, I'm going to put that around the landscape here and there. And as I go into the distance, darks get lighter and lights get a little bit darker and less saturated, cooler. And that has to do with the atmosphere in the air. Because it's so dry here, it may not be that obvious when you're looking maybe at the video. But if you're in a more wet climate, you're looking through more moisture in the atmosphere. And so sometimes painting a landscape like this, you can paint it like it looks, or you can exaggerate that just a little bit to create that distance. That's known as atmospheric perspective. Yeah, so that is the brushstroke I have. It's the same value as what I had before, and I should have known that if I looked at my palette. It's only a little bit lighter. Only a little bit lighter, but it could be kind of cool since I have it here to throw it around in my shadows, and they're gonna glow because they're significantly lighter than the sand and the darkness and the shadows. So I may just throw it in here and there a little bit. Alright, so I'm mixing a very, very pale yellow blue for the sky, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to carve out some shapes now into the canyon. No, he made a mistake. How will he recover? I don't know, but I'm gonna try. I've basically blocked in major shapes, all the major shapes. I've got my dark mass, my lights, and my sky. So now it's to manipulate the smaller shapes within them. And really, ideally what I should be doing is making sure that those larger shapes are actually covered completely. And so I may come around and adjust the paint that's already on the canvas. Using a clean brush, I may just move them around to fill those shapes and also draw the whole time. And the variation in the paint that cakes onto my brush as I move from shape to shape will actually create variation in the rocks and give the illusion of detail. And that's what I'm after right now. I'm not planning to paint exactly what's in front of me. It's not the point. I want the major compositional structures as well as close things that are close in color, because if I were to go home and work from a photo, the photograph is certainly unable to capture what we're seeing out here. Typically, I organize my colors from light to dark, but because I'm painting like Madman today and I'm using 2 palettes, you're not going to see it there. But I like to mix a dark value to a light value. So I'll always have my darks in one section, and then I'll slowly move into the lights. And although this doesn't look very light, these rocks are just naturally dark in the lights. And so if you are organized like this, your painting will result in a more organized depiction. And it's so worth this organization. It's so simple too. Sometimes it comes intuitively to people, but for me it certainly does not. So this was a system that was very helpful when I was starting out. I personally think after this stage, it's good to take your time. If I don't finish today, that's okay. I have enough on here. I could stop right now, and I could go home and use these color notes and this general composition to finish the painting. So it depends on what your goal is when you go out. I like to take my time. Other artists may love to move very quickly. Alright, so I have no idea how long we've been out here, but this is where I'm going to leave it today. It's a good study, good color study. I certainly plan to work on this more when I get home. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it, and make sure you like and subscribe, and go watch another video. We've got plenty more coming, and let me know, comment down below, is there something that you wish someone else was making? Is there something a question that you need answered? Whether it be oil painter's side, the artist side, or from a buyer's side. If you're like, I don't know what goes into an oil painting, or how much would one of these be? Let me know, just comment down below. Thanks for watching.